My name's Peter, and I'm here to talk about the 2014 crisis that struck the VA healthcare system, most notably in the Phoenix, Arizona area. In the time leading up to it, starting in about 2012, there were incidences where they were noticing wait times were uh, fairly noticeable for veterans to get their care, as well as staffing shortages. Um, Leading up to 2014, there were mandates made that made it so that a wait time standard was 14 days or 2 weeks for a veteran to receive care. And there was financial incentive placed on that. Coupled with a staffing shortage, it led to two different wait lists being created. One was the electronic one. The VA implemented electronic wait lists as a way to help combat long wait times. It was easy to track. Unfortunately, these were manipulated to show that the wait times were not that bad. A second wait list was basically created on the side, and this one was not electronically kept. It was more kind of under the table on paper. And what this did is it made it seem in the system that wait times were 2 weeks or less, which was the standard, and financial compensation was based on that. Unfortunately, what was also happening is as veterans were getting sick and waiting for even primary care appointments to see a provider, they were getting sick. And unfortunately, I think the research showed that 40 veterans died while waiting for care. Whether they would have died with or without that care was never noted in any of the research, but it is still unfortunate. And in the time leading up to it, several providers and several VA staff all tried to say something, and were all kind of shushed away. One was removed from her position as an ER physician, transferred, and only noted to have had poor communication skills, is what she was told, is why she was transferred and reprimanded, basically. The VA subsequently, when it was released that this was happening in Phoenix, they did the Inspector General did delve into it and do an investigation, and found that though Phoenix was the kind of epicenter of this event, of this crisis, the whole VA system was at fault for these wait lists. And subsequently, a act came out, and it was called the Mission Act. And the Mission Act aimed at providing veterans with alternatives for care. They could then get care out in the community. If a veteran couldn't get seen in the 14 days they were eligible for community care, they could see a provider out in the community. They could get seen quicker. And it didn't matter if it was primary care or specialty care. If they couldn't get seen within the time, so they could choose to go out to the community and get seen for primary care. If the VA did not provide timely orthopedic care, they could go see a provider out in the community. It also added in a travel distance clause. So if a veteran was traveling a certain distance, they could be compensated for it. Also, if they had to travel, I think it's 30 miles or more, they have options to see a provider closer to their home, as opposed to having to travel to go see a VA provider. If they do choose to go see a provider out in the community, the VA pays for it. It's a consult through the VA, and it provides better options of care for the veterans. Unfortunately, this crisis came to a head, and it marred the already fragile reputation of the VA. The VA has always kind of had a bad reputation for delayed care and poor care for the veterans, stemming from post-Vietnam era, where the veterans just did not receive the care at all, or they were getting substandard care. And so this was a huge blow to the VA's, I hate to say, public relations. It was a PR nightmare. But the VA has subsequently been trying to better that, better the standards of care, better the wait times for their care. They're able now to go see providers in the community instead of waiting. If appointments can't be made within 2 weeks, or in some instances with some care, it's a little bit longer. It's 20 or 28 days, depending on the type of care, but they have options. Unfortunately, with this crisis, the VA was more reactive instead of proactive on it, by putting financial incentive on the wait lists and wait times, they created a situation where it almost promoted the falsification of the records, at least the electronic records. And that was just not a good plan. Thankfully, they have learned from that, and they are doing better in providing more timely care, and subsequently working with more providers out in the community to get them vendorized so that they can be billed through the VA. So veterans have options. There's not just one orthopedic surgeon or one general surgeon or one dermatologist they can go to. There's multiples they can choose from so that they have options in their care. This has allowed for more timely care for the veterans, which ultimately was the end goal. The VA is still recovering from this crisis and probably will for a while. Issues with VA care and how veterans are treated, unfortunately, kind of sticks with the public memory for a while and can lead to issues long term. But currently, the VA is doing better and is both notably noticed as a healthcare system that works while still being somewhat demonized as a failing system because of the failures of the past, which they'll probably struggle with for a long time to come because of issues like this, and because it is a somewhat socialized healthcare system in our country that doesn't want socialized healthcare. But the crisis did have a net gain for the patient demographic and patient population within the VA by allowing more care and more options. So thank you for your time and have a wonderful holiday.